Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I am sharing the renovations that Keith and I did in his childhood home so that we could have our own space but still be with family. Today's makeup product is a setting powder. This is the bareMinerals Original Mineral Veil. This is in the shade Original Translucent. This is a sample product. I got this at Ulta, one of their birthday gifts, and I love it. It has a little bit of a pink tone to it, and this just goes on after all of the base foundation, concealer, contour, blush, all of that makeup. When you're done, this is the second to last step because the last step is a setting spray. I'm going to dab it into the top of the container. It has a spinny thing, so it opens with a few holes where the powder comes out, and then you can turn that and it closes. I have a little bit here. I'm going to use a powder brush. I'm just going to dab that, and I'm going to go from my chin and work my way up. Make sure I get my nose, make sure I get the under eyes, and then I go and make sure I get my forehead. And around my face, and I'm going to move that on the sides of my bone structure. And I'm just going to check a little bit more shine. Sometimes I get a little bit more shine on the eyebrow area and the under eye area, so I'm just going to go take the rest of the powder there and just dab and blend. And voila, that is the bareMinerals Original Mineral Veil in the shade Original Translucent. Let's get started with the video. So this is after Keith and I graduated from university and we were moving back into our hometown. We were about an hour and a half away from our hometown, and so what we would do is we would take the weekends to commute down to our hometown and do the renovations. That was a 6-month timeline. We didn't do it every single weekend. Between December and April, it was a little more flexible of when we went down and did everything. And then we really locked in April and through June. So 6 months timeline. Let's talk about costs. This is not the exact number, but this is an educated estimate, so it is around this number. The whole cost of the renovations was $6,000, around $6,000, and this is what we did. We did new flooring, we had new paint, we added a kitchen with kitchen cabinets, we added a countertop stove, we added a convection oven, a fridge, a sink, doorknobs, light fixtures, a stair railing, and a new bathroom sink. So that total cost $6,000. And the installation, a lot of it was DIY. We had some help from Keith's dad's friend. Keith's dad helped pay for his help. But for Keith and I, we spent $6,000 on the material and DIY. So that is the timeline and the broad estimated cost. So here's the video of the journey.
Alright, everything is all layered. The floor, plastic, walls, plastic.
So we're at. Once we have the self-leveler, we'll be able to paint the walls. Then after painting the walls, we can install new flooring. Then after installing new flooring, we can add new baseboards. And then after all of that, we are gonna get some updated detailing on the doors. We're gonna repaint that, and then we're gonna get new handlebars, and it's gonna look really nice. It's gonna have new floors and then new white walls. Also, we got the stairs to do too. We're gonna decarpet the stairs. All right, bye.
The floors are practically done. Just gotta do some minor stuff. But, yo, it has come together.
Yeah, take a look. That's where we're at. It's pretty good. Shee. And outside. Still got stuff to do. But pretty good progress. Not done renovating, but we're living in a space that is not completed, so it is a hot, and I mean hot, mess. Hot ass mess. But, you know, look at that railing. But look at this. It took forever to get this like laid out, and it looks so good. It looks so good. But yeah, a lot to work on.
Seeing all of that is pretty incredible. I can't believe that Keith and I did that. Renovations and doing housework is something that we both did not know how to do. We had to learn from YouTube how to install floors, how to install floorboards, we knew how to paint, but how to do like the kitchen stuff. Keith's dad hired an electrician to help with the oven. There was already a faucet there, so we didn't have to add any more plumbing, but it was more like the electricity and making sure that an oven and stove could work there, and then a fridge as well. And so there was a lot of steps that we didn't understand and we learned as we went through. And it is a lot. I don't think we knew what we were going into, but Keith and I really like to challenge ourselves, and we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and that's what makes us built different, because we have high expectations for ourselves, and we set high standards, and we always meet them, truly, because we know that we're capable of doing that. It's a beautiful home, and there's already a lot of history behind the house. And so, in order for me to feel like this is a new chapter for Keith and I personally needed the space to be about us and our journey. And so, I pushed us to really renovate the space so that we're coming into a space that truly is ours and that we created together. And so I was the visionary of the renovations, and Keith really was the one putting it all together. I helped with the flooring, I helped with the painting, I helped pick everything out, I helped install where I needed to install, okay? But Keith did a lot of the labor. I also funded majority of the renovations, almost all of the funds, because I was working full time. So Keith was doing the labor part. In order for me to not lose myself in living in a home that is Keith's home, his childhood home, and with his family, I needed that sense of independence and individuality so that I can live in that space happy. I don't have history in that home. I don't have any memories in that home. This is all Keith and Keith's family. And so there had to be a part of my story and my vision into this home for me to really feel fully comfortable and at home. And I needed to make my own mark in this space for me to really blossom and pour into this history of this home and this new chapter of this home. And I think it's also a responsibility, right, for Keith as a man to provide that for his future wife, for his longtime partner, for him to really step up in the sense of if you are going to commit to a life with this person in a straight marriage, right, in a straight partnership, in my opinion, men need to provide just a simple shelter. Men need to provide the shelter for their straight partnership, point blank, period. And so it's a bit of pressure for Keith, but I was funding it. I had the vision, and really all he had to do was do the labor. And I helped with the labor too. I didn't do all of it. Keith did the majority of it, and he had help from his dad and his dad's friend. So that helped a lot. We learned through that experience that for me, right, I have a lot of expectations. I have a lot of needs, and I have standards in my life. And that's not a bad thing. I know what I want, and I know what I deserve, and I know the standard that I live by. Okay? I know straight up what I want. And so having that sense of clarity and having that strong groundedness comes with a lot of demand. And Keith being a year younger than me, there is that sense of him having to advance faster than men need to, because naturally women advance faster as men, and so Keith is already at a disadvantage because he's a year younger. But the thing about Keith is he arises to the occasion. Okay, he arises. That man, he come through every time. Okay, that's why we're still together, because he's that guy. And so at that time we learned, for me, how to step back in my expectations and really understand the reality of the situation is that Keith is finishing school. Keith hasn't even gotten his first job yet, and I'm also very new in my career, and so we're very early in our building. And so what I'm asking and my expectations should level up to where we're at in our life. So just pull back a little bit. That's what I learned. For Keith, what he needed to work on was advocating for himself and expressing when he is stressed and what he needs, and when he needs emotional support, when he needs more support. Keith kind of takes on a lot, and he kind of just does it. And you don't really know when it's too much for him because he doesn't speak up about it. He really just takes everything on and then does it. And so I didn't know the extent of how much this was impacting him. And that is another thing about being young and navigating life, is that you learn a lot about yourself. You're not even aware that something's bothering you until something triggers it. And then you start to realize, let's talk about how we got here. It's because someone's not communicating, or someone's not understanding how much stress they're under. You don't have that self-awareness. That's the thing about being young and being together, is that you're becoming more self-aware. You're learning about yourself. And in this instance, this is what we learned. I'm really proud that we did it, because it's a beautiful space, and it is a beautiful home, and it is an accomplishment. It is stressful when you go through it. And honestly, I think that was probably one of the hardest times in our relationship, was navigating all of that. I mean, you have COVID, you have finishing your degree, you have your early in your career, trying to figure out your career. You're also transitioning from living from the school environment back at home. You're also learning how to be independent and be individuals. You're also building self-awareness and learning more about yourself and how you can really be a better team, figuring out how to make more money, and then figuring out how to manage more money. And so there's a lot of factors that were happening in that period of time. So it was very stressful for both of us. So I look back and I'm like, yeah, that was a lot. Well, we got through it, and it made us closer, and it made us understand each other a lot better. I'm really proud of how we navigated that and how we have grown from that. And so although there is the timelines and there's the expenses and all of that, there's also that human factor, the story factor, the behind the scenes of actually doing a project like this. We had our moments of just not being our best selves, and we were able to navigate through it and become better and stronger. And that's really what life is about, and that's what partnership's about. And Keith and I always like to put extra pressure on ourselves. Honestly, let's be real. Keith and I put a lot of pressure on ourselves. But that's what makes us strong, and that's what makes us unique, and that's what makes us powerful. For some reason, we actually thrive in pressure. So, I don't know what that means, but I think it's a gift. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the story of our renovation and the human aspect of that journey. So, thank you so much for tuning in, and you will see me next week. Bye!